Earlier today, a very interesting deal happened as far as the power transmission space is concerned. An investment trust, which is known as IndiGrid, went ahead and announced that they're going to acquire an asset known as NPTL from Techno Electric. The consideration for this particular asset is at 460 crore. To understand the rationale, the valuations, and more details, Shah, who's the managing director at IndiGrid, joins us now to discuss more. First up, thank you so much, Harsh, for joining us. Take us through the rationale, the contours of this particular deal, and how did you arrive at the valuation of 460 crore for this particular transmission asset?
Thank you for having us. IndiGrid's core business is to acquire operating transmission assets and battery assets in solar projects. This is one asset which our partner Techno Electric is developing and providing end-to-end solution to that. We have also acquired similar assets with Techno Electric in the past, and they have invested in developing some of our assets already. So this is just deepening of our relationship and buying more projects from them and growing IndiGrid portfolio. The 460 crore is a fair market value of the asset that we have come to conclusion based on the future cash flows that are provided for it. It has a 35-year fixed tariff that, like all other transmission projects, it is offered. And then we value that based on the cost of debt and cost of equity we apply and come to that number. It's in line with the valuation that we acquired earlier assets. And that's how we come to conclusion on this number.
Harsh, good afternoon. Thank you for joining in. Just before I ask you my question, the flashes on your screen that the group of ministers has accepted the proposal to move to 5 and 18% slab structure on the GST, and the group of ministers has recommended scrapping the GST slabs of 12 and 28%. This is according to Bihar's Deputy Chief Minister Samrat Chaudhary, and he's mentioning that the group of ministers has accepted the proposal to move to a 5 to 18% slab structure and scrap the slabs of 12 and 28%. We'll get Timsy on this in just a bit. But Harsh, for the deal that you have just done, how do you plan on financing this deal? If you could share us that, what will be equity, what will be debt, and or whether you do it completely via internal accruals?
Yeah, so we use mix of equity, debt, and internal accruals. Our overall asset size today is around 32,000 crores, and we are levered at about approximately 6. So we have sufficient debt headroom also to acquire if we were to acquire this entirely by debt, because we have almost 6,000 crores of debt headroom. So at least when we acquire, it will be a mix of equity, debt, and internal accruals to acquire this cash.
Okay, Harsh, the other important thing that the street would like to know is, what is the cost of debt for you currently? What is the rating that you enjoy from rating agencies? Going forward, is there a scope to reduce, the rate of financing? And consequently, could you give a higher guidance as far as the DPU is concerned?
Yeah. So we have approximately 19,000 crores of consolidated debt. Our weighted average cost of debt is in the range of approximately 7.6%. Incrementally, we are borrowing cheaper because there is rate transmission that has taken place. So we are borrowing in somewhere in the range of 7 to 7.25%, depending on the tenure that we are looking at. And therefore, marginal cost of debt is lesser than the weighted average cost of debt that we are seeing. And therefore, yes, we will see, as some of the debt gets repriced or refinanced, we will see cost of debt reduction, providing us additional NDCF, which we can distribute to unit holders and increase the guidance. But typically, we increase the guidance on an annual basis in the Q4 of the year, like we did a couple of quarters back in Q4, where we increased it suddenly to 16 rupees, which is one of the large jumps that we took. Hopefully, the interest rates remain where they are or lesser, then we will have a sizable amount of NDCF to distribute. So we will guide accordingly at the Q4 of this year.
Are there any other assets in the pipeline that you are evaluating at, Harsh?
We have put in place IndiGrid, our development company, where we are developing a lot of assets. We already have 6,000 crores of assets over there under development. Those 6,000 crores of assets will be added to IndiGrid portfolio in next probably 12 to 24 months as they're coming to commissioning. So that's a prime business. We are seeing unprecedented bidding pipeline on transmission and BESS side. So we hope that there's a sizable amount of growth that will take place via IndiGrid, which will eventually come to IndiGrid when the projects are completed.
Understood. So AUM steady state, what is the kind of guidance you can give that every year, what is the kind of growth that the AUM can see? And secondly, especially in terms of, the PPAs, what is the current tenure that the entire portfolio enjoys? Because that is also something that the street wants to know.
So, to answer first, our AUM has grown in the past at a good rate. When we listed in 2017, we were about 4,000 crores. Now we are at 32,000 crores. So we've grown 8 times in the last 8 years. Obviously, the base was smaller. Uh, but I think one needs to look at AUM growth in a bucket of time rather than year on year, because the assets are chunkier and growth happens in the right period. So I do expect that we'll work towards growing the portfolio 2x in 5 years, which will, if we annualize, it will come to 15% year on year. But I think year on year, it's not possible to track AUM growth. But in a 5-year period, with the amount of pipeline that we see, certainly making 30,000 to 60,000 crore is fairly possible. And that will also allow us to continue to deliver DPU and grow the DPU. So that's how we look at future potential. In terms of the PPAs, our business is split into 3 buckets: transmission service agreement, PPAs, and BESPA, which is battery service agreement. Transmission assets, most of them are perpetual, so we continue to own for life. But the current concession agreement, which will be left, will be around 29 years. For solar projects, that number would be give or take around 20 years or so on a weighted average basis. And for battery project, the maximum tenure is 15 years, that the last few projects that we have won. So it'll be in the range of 12 to 15 years of BESPA agreement. So it's a mixed bucket that we see.
Right, Harsh. So by that, based on all of this, do you stick to the guidance that you have given for FY26 when it comes to power transmission and for solar generation as well?
Oh, certainly. So we stick to a guidance of 16 rupees a unit distribution. We have already distributed 4 rupees for this year, first quarter. I think the business is doing well. So we are confident that we'll meet our guidance of 16 rupees, which was increased by 7% when we started this year.